Hello. SEO is something that comes up again and again when I talk to people around website building. And there's a few reasons. One of the reasons is that when people shop around to build a website, sometimes they get quoted $7,000 for a website because that person is going to do all their SEO and guarantee that they will end up on the first page of a Google search. And so that's one reason I often end up talking about SEO because I don't do SEO just arbitrarily. Like I don't do it as a compulsory part of website building. And I think I'm going to go now into my rant about SEO and explain why I don't really believe that SEO is as important for some businesses as it is for others. So, in my mind, there's kind of two businesses when it comes to the people I deal with. There are my local customers who have a local on the ground business. And then there are the people who I work with that are online, and they often have an Australia wide or sometimes a global business. So, if you're a local person and you have a local shop, I think a lot of the time it is really helpful to do a bit of SEO. Like if I had a bigger massage therapy business, I would definitely want to have bigger massage as my SEO search term. And if I had other things there, like now I'm thinking about Ocean, who I did a website for a little while ago. They also have a bathhouse and an infrared sauna. I would probably do another page that would say sauna Bega. Um, and things like that, like things that are very specific. Like if I'm a bigger hairdresser or if I'm a bigger plumber, I'm going to want to make sure I use those keywords in my page to label my images as headings on my page, in the text on my page, and then this other thing that's called metadata, which is the stuff that's hidden from the human viewer of the website, but that the Google bot uses. So it will look at your website. It does look at the front stuff, but it doesn't have eyes, right? So it can only look at code. So it looks at what we give it, which is the metadata. And if you don't fill in the metadata, then the Google robot will just use whatever it can find on your website. So you kind of get this spot where you can intentionally insert stuff that makes the Google robot read that as a priority over the rest of the site. But that doesn't mean you can go and just spam your site with like bigger massage, bigger massage, bigger massage. Like SEO is quite complicated. There's a lot of constraints and SEO changes all the time. Now, there's this other kind of business that is the more Australia-wide or global business. And I do find it quite tricky to support those people with their SEO unless they have something so niche. Because sometimes in the online business world, we're seeing a lot of big names, like maybe we teach mindfulness and meditation practices, and we see Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's very difficult to compete with someone who has such a large business, such a large marketing department, and such a large marketing budget. Because businesses like that will, of course, like they have 20% of their revenue or whatever it is, that is their marketing budget. That's what businesses tend to have, a very high marketing budget, because it's important to keep finding new customers to keep generating revenue. Whereas a lot of the women I work with, like the businesses I work with online, is one woman in her house. Like she doesn't have $10,000 a month to spend on SEO. If you do, that's cool. And you're probably not watching this video because you probably have an awesome SEO strategy. There is actually another approach to SEO, which my mentor, George Cow, teaches, which I would really recommend. I'm actually about to dive into his SEO course a bit more. And he can walk you through just the basics of setting up your SEO on your page. But here's the thing, there are businesses, a third category that I didn't mention earlier, who are like what I call aggregator businesses, or they're just kind of it's just this other kind of business I find a little bit hard to explain. So they're either like yellow pages, like, oh, we are the local therapy directory of the Bega Valley. And they basically, their whole business model is we'll approach all the massage therapists and alternative therapists in the region. We'll charge them all $100 or $200 a month. We'll get them to list on our website, and then we'll spend the $10,000 a month it takes on SEO to make sure they show up in the, in the first few searches. And there's a lot of those businesses because that's a business model. It doesn't require too much work if you know what you're doing. And basically you can work from home and support these businesses to get better reach. And you end up that a lot of the top search spots are Facebook, LinkedIn, these aggregator sites, or like natural therapy directories, or whatever directories. And they occupy a lot of the spots on the front page. So it can be really hard to compete with them. I was trying to help a local storage business to show up on the front page for SEO, and it's just very difficult to compete with those classified and directory sites. And the other kind of business that occupies space is like people who are drop shipping, or they like have a lot of ads on their page. They basically have some content and they have a lot of ads. So they generate their revenue through all these ads that they put on their site, and then they can use that money to occupy the top space in SEO. So it's just kind of a weird world, isn't it? It's a bit like the Wild West, and there are a lot of different people who are vying for those top spots. However, if you just genuinely have a business doing something genuine and you write native, natural content for your website, it's very likely that people are going to find it. Like, for instance, New Ground Counseling. If I type in Bega Counselor, New Ground Counseling, which is a new website that I helped a friend build, comes up as the first one. And then the next one, okay, so that's the first one in terms of like places. So she's done well and she's listed as a Google My Business, which is really important. And then when I look at the next things that come up, there's like the Bega Valley Counseling directory, and then Health Share, another directory. So it can just be like this whole other lot of people who are vying. Eventually, New Ground Counseling comes up, is on the front page, and we haven't even done SEO for her yet. So, I would say have a good think about SEO, whether you really need it. Talk to someone who's not biased, who's informed about SEO. And I'm happy to chat with you about it. It's just I'm not going to talk you into it. I'm going to probably try and talk you out of it. And I think there are a number of really easy things you can do. So just you have to know what your people are searching. If you don't know what people are searching, there's no point doing SEO at all. You have to be really clear. Oh, my customers, they all search for solutions for teenage anxiety, or how to help my anxious teenager. You have to know exactly what people are typing in. And then you're going to find, yeah, you're dealing with a lot of competition. That's a very coveted keyword. So I may just talk you out of it. But here's what you can do, okay? Because I don't want to be a big sad sack the whole time. You can choose names of your pages that align with what you want to be found for. So if you want people to find your page, when they type in Bega Counselor or Bega Therapy, you have to make sure your page is called Bega Therapy. Your H1, your heading one, your first heading on the page, the big one, it needs to say Bega Counseling. Then inside your copy, down in the words that you've written on your website, you want to say Bega Counseling at least a couple more times, up to 3 to 5 times. You don't want to do it more than that. And then all your images, you also want to have them labeled Bega Counselor. And also you can do the alt text and say a picture of someone in Bega having counseling or something like that. So they're very easy ways that you can do it. And you need to do it for each page. Just dedicate one page to that particular keyword. So now I'm thinking about Ocean in Bermagui. You may have the bathhouse page, but you might actually dedicate that page to like sauna Bermagui. And then you'd have to have it would say infrared sauna Bermagui in your words on the website. You'd have an H1 heading that says Bermagui sauna or sauna Bermagui. And then you'd have another page that is massage Bermagui. And that massage therapist page would be entirely dedicated to having some words about Bermagui massage. And now, if it doesn't flow for it to be in the main body of your copy, like in the main part of your page, you can also just have a paragraph at the bottom where you use your keywords a couple of times, but it still does need to be written in an authentic and human way. The Google robot will penalize you if it can tell that you're just placing it there. So ultimately, I think SEO, it can just be so costly. It can really bump up the cost of your website. I don't even know if it's necessary for most people. Um, it's not easy to achieve first page status because it always changes and it just depends on your business. If you have something like Bega Plumbing, Bega Hairdresser, Bermagui Sauna, they're all going to be so easy, but like how to help my anxious teenager, that is massive. And there are so many businesses vying for keywords like that. So it really depends. I'm going to try and wrap myself up now because I could just go and go about this topic and it would all be whinging. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps you. Definitely just book a free chat with me. We can talk about your SEO if you want, and I can try and think up how we could support you. Like I have helped some people with SEO, but it's challenging. It's challenging. And I don't think it's the big solution that everybody thinks it is. It can work. There's definitely other things you can do sooner. Another really important thing I just remembered is getting clicks over to your website is so important. And that's going to help it show up in a search as well. If you've made a site and no one's ever gone there, yeah, Google won't put you on the first page. That's enough. I'm going to try to stop. Hope you have a beautiful day. See you soon.